Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 10 of the 9 Frames podcast.
Double digits.
I'm one half of your host, Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
Don't forget that you can catch us on Spotify at 9 Frames, YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast, and X at 9 Frames Pod. You could also see us on playergm.com. We're going to get into some Major League Baseball. We're going to start it out with something I found really interesting. Milwaukee had said that they will consider searching to move this fall if a new funding plan isn't signed by then. What do you think?
I mean, it's the same thing as it is with the Athletics, except it's like it's for a team that I kind of just don't care about as much.
Yeah, fair enough. Less than the Athletics?
Well, the historical side of the A's, yeah. I mean,
the A's have moved around a lot in their history, so it's not the craziest thing, but they did have a great fan base, so I know what you mean.
I just feel like it's not fair to take it away from the Athletics fan base when they, 5 years ago they were selling the place out.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
You put a good ball club there, they'll come.
Manfred said that Oakland's government and the team's ownership both made poor decisions they did not keep up with the ballpark, and that place is kind of trash, so...
Yeah, you've seen the chants. I mean, the fans are not happy with the Athletics owners.
Not at all, and Manfred visited Milwaukee in the spring. During spring training, and he warned the team and the government, talking about Oakland's move, saying they made a series of poor decisions. Please don't do that. Let's keep Milwaukee here, and they haven't done it yet. And if they do move, I wanted to pose the question: where would you want them to go?
Well, at first we were just discussing this a little bit. I was saying how I don't really care, but as I'm sitting here, I actually just thought of a perfect location for them that would make sense, and you can keep them in the NL Central. Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, no, that's actually, I was going to say, there are probably 3 landing points right now: Nashville, Tennessee, Portland, Oregon, and Salt Lake City, Utah.
I think Nashville's the smartest.
I think Nashville's a really hot city. A lot of people, especially young people, take vacations there.
Oh, so baseball would boom in
Nashville.
That's
what I'm saying. You're telling me if there's a day game, people wouldn't do some day drinking at the day game and then go bar hopping in the afternoon if they're young?
And you can keep them in the same division as the Cubs, Cardinal. They're right there.
The city could get hot, and they got the Titans too, so, I mean... I think they should go to Nashville if they're going to move, but it would be, again, really sad to see Milwaukee lose a baseball franchise.
Oh, yeah. Always.
They've always had one since, the 1800s with the Braves.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be pretty sad. I don't really see it happening. I think they'll figure it out in Milwaukee.
They're going to have to sign it by the fall, man, and the fall is quickly approaching.
Well, if you want to keep your team, get on it.
Yeah, I guess the way I would end that is that I hope they end up staying in Milwaukee, I think.
Yeah, I do too.
Nashville is my second best option, though.
I agree.
Yeah, we'll move on to something that's pretty pathetic, honestly. The Mets are the first team in MLB history, that's a lot of history, to ever have 7+ hits and 9+ walks drawn without scoring a run. They were 0-12 with runners in scoring position.
That's what I try to tell other fans, man. You can be a fan of a terrible team, but your team doesn't lose the way the Mets lose.
Well, nobody ever has.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They're finding ways that no one has ever lost. That's how they're doing.
That's really the Mets' way, and it definitely is this year. It's really sad.
And naturally, it has to be against the Braves, so they can continue to shit-talk us.
Well, it makes sense that this would happen against the Braves, because the Braves are awesome. The Braves take 3 out of 4 again from the Mets. The Braves only the Mets squeaked that last one out in a 7-8 win that they almost blew.
Yeah, they almost gave it away.
Yeah, just to cap off that series, Atlanta outscored the Mets 40-10.
Well, that's that 121-3 game.
Well, kind of. I mean, when you look at it, the Mets got shut out twice in this series. They scored 3 and then they scored 7.
Remember how rare it was to get shut out last year?
Yeah, it wasn't a thing. I mean, they clearly waved the white flag, and we've seen some viewers say in the comments, they don't look like they're even trying, and that's a big message to send to the whole organization. They're now 53-65. And they're a half game up on Washington for last in the East.
Last place is insane, man.
Yeah, it's really sad because they were the biggest payroll in baseball history.
Dude, the 2 New York teams might end up being in last.
Don't want to dump on them, especially as a Met fan, but God, it's pathetic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been pretty pathetic since the trade deadline.
To keep it with the Mets, an anonymous Met said that Verlander was a diva upon his exit, and he also said that he and Scherzer didn't get along as teammates.
Now, is that anonymous Met like currently in their locker room?
Yeah, currently a Met.
I was gonna say because it was probably fucking Scherzer.
Apparently, it was
probably just Scherzer just running his mouth again.
What it sounds like is apparently it's someone who is still with the Mets who's talking about that exit for them both.
Well, then that's interesting.
Apparently, they didn't get along since Detroit, so
I was saying that in the offseason, man. Like the chemistry was not gonna be the same. You can't just throw big name players together and just be like it's gonna work.
Yeah, no, it definitely didn't click this year, and you could see that they played less, or maybe about half a season, I guess.
Moving on from the Mets a little bit because they're whatever at this point. I want to give out another shout out. I brought it up after his second start, but now we'll say it again. Lance Lynn, since going to the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's been awesome, huh?
18 innings pitched so far. He's got a solid 2 ERA, 2.00.
Wild.
In 18 innings, 22 Ks, only 4 walks, a 197 batting average against.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely crazy. This is exactly what he and the Dodgers needed. We said it around the deadline. Like, they definitely just needed to add pitching depth, and this is exactly that. Lance Lynn's got a 5.88 on the season, but when he's in Dodger blue, he's got a 2.
You just have to go to the Dodger factory.
It's pretty crazy.
They fix people.
They really do got the special sauce over there, and Lance Lynn's definitely eating it.
I mean, so Joe Kelly's been great for them too.
Yeah,
and he was pretty bad for the White Sox.
The thing about Joe Kelly is he's always got phenomenal stuff, so it's kind of just, I think it's about pitching coach when it comes to Joe Kelly, and clearly the Dodgers have known how to handle him.
The Dodgers are just such a well-run organization, man. Just top to bottom, they just deserve everything they have. They're just on another 8-game win streak, 9-1 in their last 10. Like, forget about it.
Really, tip of the cap to the Dodgers.
They're up 8.5 now.
I genuinely have endless respect because they kind of do it the clean way too. They're never really in the news for being a negative team, and they just play great ball.
It's over that division.
Hard to hate.
It's an 8.5 game lead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I used to dislike them more, but like now it's just respect.
Yeah, well, that was back in the days when the Mets were fighting them in 2015. Maybe I was having problems with them. They had Chase Utley. Very different team now. These are really likable guys, and they play great ball.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman's having an outstanding season.
The team's full of guys who just seem like great guys, and they play the best baseball. Unless you're watching Braves baseball, that might be better.
Very true.
So that'll be our recap on the weekend for our intro. We're gonna get into some of the bigger stories and series of the weekend.
Starting off in the American League this time, because I think it was probably the biggest series of the weekend.
Hard to disagree. Yeah.
Baltimore and Seattle go for 3 in Seattle. The first game, Seattle takes it behind a quality start from Luis Castillo. He was fantastic again.
He really has been just since they got him. Really,
yeah, he really has. He won another 6 innings, only 2 hits allowed, 2 walks, only 1 earned run crossed the plate with 8 Ks.
God, you love it.
The Mariners get homers from Cal Raleigh, his 20th on the year. Shout out Cal Raleigh.
Really crazy.
19th from Julio Rodriguez and number 9 from Ty France.
The craziest part about that is, I mean, you look at it, and that puts Cal Raleigh above Rodriguez.
Yeah.
All right, J-Rod.
Yeah, he keeps the pace at 1 ahead of him. You want to let them know what happened in Game 2?
So Game 2 was absolutely crazy. It was a 1-0. It felt like a playoff game. I love 1-0 baseball, man. I love to watch pitchers and defense work.
Intense stuff.
It was a masterclass from the O's pitching.
Every pitch is, like, maximized.
Yeah, so there was a great pitching performance by the O's. There was an RBI single by Mountcastle there to win it, obviously, the only RBI in the whole game.
I want to give a little shout-out to the Orioles pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, that staff worked that day. Who did it?
Cole Irvin goes 5, doesn't give up a run. Mike Bauman, sorry if I mispronounced that, he goes an inning scoreless. Webb goes in 2/3 scoreless. Perez goes a third scoreless. Cano goes an inning. And Felix Bautista goes 2 to clamp the end of the game.
Dude, I love this team. I love that type of pitching performance is exactly what I love to see because it's not even like a dominant starting pitcher. That was Cole Irvin going 5 strong for the team, and the bullpen just picked them up after that.
This game was won in the 10th inning, so Batista pitched the 9th and then the 10th with the guy on second base.
He's such a weapon. I don't think there's another pitcher like him this year, man. I don't think there's another pitcher like him in the league right now. I mean, it's so crazy.
Even with him struggling kind of in the last week or so.
Yeah, last couple series were a little rough for him, but clearly he's not shaking confidently.
He's 7-2 with a 160.
7-2 as a closer. That's probably going to lead the league in saves too. I mean, wow, dude.
He's having one of the best seasons I've seen from a reliever.
Yeah, we gave him a little love. We gave him love a couple probably last week. We said he had a chance at winning that Cy Young. I think he's going to be probably 4th again.
He'll be definitely definitely in the top 10. That's for sure.
A real history of O's having great relief pitchers.
Yeah, he's been really good.
Yeah.
Cano as well. Game 3, that was the Cedric Mullins show.
Right.
What happens? He goes in the top of the 9th inning, or bottom of the 9th inning. The O's are leading 3-2. Ty France goes to hit a home run in the second day in a row, for the second day in a row. Mullins jumps at the wall, brings it back, completely robs him.
I love Ty France's game. Shout out to him. That was another great swing to go out to center field. It's been a while since I've seen a robbery like that, dude. That was one of the craziest plays ever. He ended up stomach down on the warning track.
Yeah.
Craziest catch I've seen in a long, long time.
He went up to get it. Unfortunately, the M's tie it anyway on Dom Canzone's first Mariners homer.
Shout out Dom Canzone.
His second of the year, newly acquired from the D-backs in that Paul Sewald trade.
Yeah.
So he ties it. Absolute, moment. The crowd stands up, goes crazy. 3-3 game.
But Cedric Mullins
gets up in the top of the 10th inning and hits a go-ahead and game-winning 2-run homer.
Yeah, you got the ghost runner on second, and he makes him pay. Cedric Mullins, one of the best lefty swings in the game right now.
Yeah, I mean, my question was, how important do you think Mullins is to the Orioles' success currently and to their future chances, like the playoffs?
I'm going to say it. I think one of the most underrated positions in baseball is that center fielder, because people bring up catchers and people bring up, the middle infielders as being the generals of the team. But, being a center fielder, you are genuinely controlling everything. You're the one who's calling off if there's a ball in the gap. That's your ball.
Yeah, you're the captain of the outfield.
And Cedric Mullins is the definition of a captain. So I think to their outfield in general, he is, imperative. They need him. So I think their team in general does too, because if Cedric Mullins isn't playing center field right now, you got a lot to figure out if you're the Orioles. But that guy, he fills a lot of holes for you.
They did all right when he was out with the groin injury. But, I mean, the guy just puts a real jolt into a team.
And you could see it since he came back.
I mean, he won them a game yesterday.
There you go.
He won them the whole game.
Yeah, so shout out Mullins and shout out to Baltimore, which has really been the AL's hottest team since the deadline.
Yeah, they're going to be going to San Diego for 3.
Yeah, that should be a tough-fought series. We'll talk more about San Diego because they had a series with the Snakes this weekend, which was very interesting. Yeah, but the Mariners fought hard, and this is a team that's really on the brink and the bubble of that wild card. The O's just kind of appear to be the better team and roster.
Yeah, they really did, and I think it's because they just are this year.
Yeah, I think, I always say maybe I'm getting to be a bit of a broken record on this, but I really think bullpens are such a winning recipe in baseball, and I don't think there's one that impresses me more than Baltimore's.
More so in the playoffs.
Yep,
You need a good bullpen.
And who's going to impress you more than Baltimore right now? Maybe Texas, maybe Toronto.
There's not many.
No, I don't think they match up well, but I don't think they're better.
The Orioles are still currently the 1 seed in the American League, so they're getting a bye right now.
Get a nice little bye. Of course, nobody from the Central's getting the bye, so whoever's winning the West and the East, you can just enjoy your day off.
But having the 1 seed over the 2, everyone's got to come to Baltimore.
Yeah, not to mention you want to play the worst team possible, so you're going to want to play the lowest seed. That's going to be huge. I think Baltimore will probably actually hold on because of the way they've been playing. Texas and Houston are going to be battling that out for the rest of the year.
I personally think Baltimore's going to hold on to this division now, given the Rays' pitching injuries.
I do too, and I was going to say the same exact thing. I think that's just kind of too much to overcome, and they're doing their best, man.
Yeah, it's not to their fault.
No, credit to the Rays. You really can't do a better job with the cards they're dealt.
Yeah.
But
4 out of
they
your
are
5.
dealt those cards, and the Baltimore Orioles are not dealt those same bad cards. They look good this year.
Yeah.
Looking healthy.
They got a 3-game lead on Tampa Bay as it sits right now. Tampa Bay is still sitting 5 games up in the wild card, so they're chilling.
And Seattle, who I absolutely love as an organization and a city, they now sit a game and a half behind Toronto for the 3rd wild card.
Who we'll also be discussing a little bit.
Yeah, Toronto played a nice little series with the Cubs, which are 2 teams that are absolutely on the bubble. That was going to be a battle, and it was, so we'll touch on that soon.
Yeah, so really great baseball being played in Seattle this weekend between these 2 teams, honestly.
Yeah, it felt like, and these games have felt like it with what's been going on lately. This new playoff format and the logjam that it creates with so many teams trying. So many series feel like playoff series previews, and that's what this felt like.
The M's take a big win, game 1. It's a blowout kind of 9-2. A nice pitcher's duel game 2, and then the fireworks in game 3.
Yep, I love a series like it. It
What
feels
more
like
can
it.
you ask for?
It felt like a wild card series, except I don't think Baltimore's one of those teams this year.
I got my eye on Baltimore though.
Me too.
They could make some real noise.
Yeah, that's a division winner. This was a big weekend of interleague series, and we did touch on a couple of them briefly just now, but we're going to get really into one here. There was a big one between the Cubs and the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't know if it was before that series or in the midst of that series, but Alek Manoah didn't have a start scheduled, and he got sent to AAA. Why do you think they did that now?
Do you want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
Because he stinks. And they're tired of watching him stink.
That's kind of fair enough, yeah.
He just isn't good.
God, it's sad to see.
I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, no, he doesn't look like himself. Even kind of physically, his body language and everything. His confidence is really sapped this year.
Yeah, even in remember that rehab start against the Florida Complex League?
A bunch of 19-year-olds
gives up
kind of
11.
rocked him.
He just doesn't even look like himself.
He did look phenomenal in his next 2 starts for that Florida Complex League, though.
Oh.
So, you gotta give him credit where it's due.
I don't think I have to give him credit, man. He pitched. He was 3rd in Cy Young last year, and now he's in the Florida Complex League.
I think this is a way better move than sending him to the Florida Complex
Yeah.
League. You send him to AAA, I think this is actually going to be good for him. I think this is where you find yourself again.
I understand why teams do that, sending them to high A or something. It's to make them look better and get reps in against lower level players. But if he gets bombed like that, it makes him look really, really
And
stupid.
it really did, and everybody saw it, and everybody was commenting on it. It was kind of sad.
And you don't think he hears that and sees that stuff? It's going to get in his head.
I was interested because I was wondering if Alek Manoah was at the point of making serious MLB money.
No.
No, he's currently pre-arb getting $740. He's getting the league minimum,
Yeah.
so there's nothing to really lose for the Blue Jays to do it. And I think it's probably for the best that Alek goes down and tries to figure out his stuff against AAA talent.
Yeah, I'm making a joke. It's not really a joke. He does stink, but
here's the thing. He has stunk.
Yeah,
I don't know
this
if
year.
he does
No,
stink.
we've seen that he cannot stink.
That's the thing,
But
yeah.
as of 2023, he's been really, really bad.
Talented guy. We'll see if he gets it back on track with
I'm rooting for
his
him.
little trip in AAA.
I'm rooting for him.
To recap the series, Chicago and Toronto, it started out with a 6-2 Chicago win on Friday, then a 5-4 Chicago win on Saturday, which are just massive wins to get for Chicago. Again, kind of feeling like, it's hard to say it feels like a playoff series because this would have to be the World Series, but they played it like it was one.
2 playoff caliber teams.
Definitely.
I see what you mean.
11-4 in that Toronto game.
The third one.
Yeah, Toronto wins 11-4 there. There's a 3-run first by Chicago in that first game on Friday. They end up winning 6-2. That's a 4 spot on Saturday that they put up. So,
Cubbies winning with big innings.
the Cubs win in that second game 5-4, putting up a 4 spot. That was literally the winning inning.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
the Blue Jays respond Sunday by just bombing. We get a 2-out RBI by Varsho. He gets a home run in that. Merrifield gets a 2-out RBI. Espino gets a 2-out RBI. Springer gets a 2-out RBI. Vlad gets a 2-out RBI. And Paul DeYoung gets a 2-out RBI.
All of it was with 2 outs?
All of those was with 2 outs in
Wow.
that 11-4 game. So that game looks entirely different. I had to mark that down because those are all 2-out RBI.
That's really bad. You just
And
gotta
one
get
of them being a Varsho homer, which I believe was with 2 runs.
Yeah, you love to see that from a team like the Blue Jays who's holding on to the last wild card and they're in danger of getting swept and they go out and they just
Imagine
the bats
how
wake up.
Imagine how electric that place would be in the playoffs if they had that many 2-out RBI.
Oh yeah.
Hoo, hoo, hoo.
I know all about how that place gets in the playoffs.
Yeah, Toronto's 8 games back of the East, so it's kind of tough right now. Like we were talking about, the Orioles are a really good team, and the Rays are probably a better roster than them too. Those teams aren't going to really skid too much, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough to get, but they are in the wild card. They're a game and a half up on Seattle, who we were just talking about.
I think it's going to be... Boston's not out of it. They're only 3 out, but I think it's going to be between Seattle and Toronto.
I think it's going to be between Seattle and Toronto as well, and it's sad. It makes me sad to say because I prefer Seattle as an organization and a city, a team. I know more about them and everything, but I think Toronto's the better team, and I think they're going to withstand that.
Fair enough.
I might see it be a 3-game gap at the end of the year.
I think the Yankees did some irreparable damage, but we'll talk about that later.
Definitely going to touch on the Yankees. Really bad stuff this weekend from them.
So, yeah.
The Cubs are 3.5 games back of the Central after that series. They get 2 out of 3 there from a good Toronto team. They're a half game back of Miami, who we just said had a tough-fought series against the Yankees where they really came back, and we'll definitely touch on that. How are we feeling after this series about these two teams?
I'm feeling like I'm still behind my Cubbies. Like,
You think they could still take the division? I know.
I don't. Maybe yeah, because it's only 3.5, man. Like,
Yeah.
the Brewers aren't that much better than them.
Yeah, no ground has been made up
They've just
since
been-
like last Monday's episode.
Because the Brewers have won 4 straight.
There you go.
They've had a great week.
Yeah, like last Monday we were talking about it. I'm pretty sure they were like exactly 3. It might have been 1.5 even. So they gained a couple games. Milwaukee in that stretch, like you said, playing 4 games in a row.
I think it's fully possible that the Brewers just finish off and win the division. Because
Yeah.
they are a talented ball club.
I've been saying for the first 9 episodes of this podcast, I still pick Milwaukee.
Yeah, you have.
Mm-hmm.
The Cubs, though, like, I still think that they could sneak in for that third wild card because I do think they're better than the Marlins.
Yeah, they're only a half game back, and I think they have them on experience. But, man, Miami's a fun team, too, as we just saw this weekend.
Yeah, they look like they've got heart, though.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
Toronto's got Philly coming up at home right now, so Philly's coming into Toronto. That should be another great interleague series, bro. Those are kind of brutal series.
The Phillies have, like, earned my respect in a way.
Oh, most definitely.
Like, when I see, like the Phillies coming up on the schedule, I'm like, that's going to be a tough series.
Not only is it fearsome, but man, this new schedule sees Toronto seeing a playoff team in the Cubs and a playoff team in Philly. They wouldn't see those two teams in the same year.
Yeah, they're used to. Well, I mean,
Now they're seeing them in the same week.
There used to be times where they wouldn't see them either, like at all, because if they were playing the NL West, they wouldn't see either of them.
Right, and now we're seeing them in the same week here. The Cubs got the White Sox at home, and those are both 2-game series in the middle of the week. A lot of 2 games going around with the new schedule.
That seems to be a new schedule kind of thing.
So I really don't mind.
It's a lot. It seems like a lot of interleague games are 2 games.
Yeah, almost definitely.
Like the Giants and A's, those kind of games.
2 very interesting series. The way they're playing right now, I could see a Toronto and Philly split. Both of those teams are playing like that.
Yeah.
Because we'll touch on Philly as well. They kind of had a rough one in Minnesota.
I think the Cubs need to take care of the White
And
Sox.
I think the Cubs should take care of the White Sox, I was going to say.
They're have to.
Definitely a superior team top to bottom.
So they probably don't play today, right? It's Tuesday and Wednesday.
No, I believe it, Tuesday and Wednesday on both of those, yes.
The Cubs are sending Hendricks to the mound against Touki Toussaint in Game 1.
Yeah, Touki Toussaint, I mean, he's got good stuff for the White Sox, so, I mean, he should get that down a little bit. They believe his ERA is a 4.27.
And as of right now, the Sox don't have an announcer, or the Cubs don't have an announced starter for the Wednesday game. And the White Sox have announced Mike Clevenger.
Yeah, and Clevenger's been good for the White Sox this year, so it should be kind of a tough matchup for the Cubby bats. But like we said this weekend, I mean, the Blue Jays got a tough rotation, and they put up a 4-spot and a 3-spot on them in multiple innings.
Having the Phillies, I mean, they're going to be sending Gausman against Nola on Wednesday. That's a good matchup for the Blue Jays. Wheeler and Kikuchi tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think the Blue Jays need to really win these games, though, because they're only a game and a half on the Mariners, like we were saying, and the Mariners got a 4-game against the Royals.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So,
the Mariners or the Marlins are getting lucky there.
The Mariners.
Mariners.
Yeah.
The Mariners are getting a lucky draw there for sure because the schedule looks tough for Toronto, getting a bunch of playoff teams. The thing's you didn't know some of these teams would be playoff teams,
Yeah.
so when the schedule came around, these might have been easy games. Not anymore.
All I'm saying is games could be made up this week.
They definitely could. Well, we'll see because it's going to be really on Seattle to win those games.
Absolutely.
So we're going to stick with that Phillies series we were just talking about because it was kind of a disappointing weekend for the Phils. Yeah, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Minnesota Twins, which honestly, this pod, and I think deservedly so, doesn't give the Twins a lot of respect.
No, I mean, even after winning 2 of 3 from a good team, they're only 4 games above 500.
Yeah, and they're not the better team. They looked like it this weekend, though, so shout out to them on that.
I was going to say, we got to give credit where credit's due. They did win 2 of 3 against a pretty solid team.
The first game I was pretty locked in on Friday night. It was kind of a wild watch. It was a 13-3 Philadelphia win on Friday. Keuchel gets a 2-0 lead. We know he just got to Minnesota. He just gets absolutely bombed after that 2-0 lead that Minnesota gives him. Gives up 1 2/3 innings. He gives up 6 earned runs. It's 13-2 by the end of that. I mean, they put up 13 on unanswered runs.
Dude, I got to say something. Why the hell is Dallas Keuchel getting a chance in the major leagues again?
In a pennant race.
Instead of somebody like Madison Bumgarner.
And this is Minnesota in a pennant race.
Why
It's
wouldn't
really
they?
crazy.
Why wouldn't they sign Mad Bum?
I don't know.
He's better than Keuchel. I promise.
I mean, I just think it's the most unacceptable is that neither one of those guys should be on this roster, and they should have made a deal at the deadline.
That's very true.
Yeah, the team should have made a damn deal. I mean, they're not trying, bro.
Well, bro,
It's crazy. And Cleveland's opposite.
Well,
they're like trying to quit.
Yeah, I mean, they just never
Everybody's just like, we don't want this division. And you know what I hate, too? Because I like divisions. A lot of people are arguing now that we should, like, abolish divisions.
No.
This division, I want divisions.
You could realign divisions.
Something like that, maybe, yeah. Because this division's unacceptable.
Yeah, just
realign. We need something to be competitive. Someone's got to do something.
You could realign and rename divisions, but you can't get rid of divisions and just be conferences. Like,
yeah, I mean, technically you could.
No one does that. What sport does that?
What do you mean? Basketball.
No, it doesn't. They have divisions.
East and West. It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
East and West is seeded by...
If you win your division in basketball, you get a top 3 seed.
Is it not pure record seeding?
No, I'm pretty sure it's top 3, and then afterward, it's by record.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess maybe something like that.
But at the top 3 division...
Yeah. All right, so maybe if it was something like that.
Yeah, you can look at other sports and take it, but you can't completely abolish divisions.
No, I agree. And I this is a sad division, so they could do better. Yeah, it's an 8-1 Minnesota win in the second one, so... They kind of bounced back for sure.
That was just giving Toronto their credit. That's a nice bounce-back win for the Twins.
Yeah, Matt Wallner hits his 8th homer of the year. He gets an RBI single later on, too. Joey Gallo, shout out to him. He gets 19th and 20th homers of the year. And Carlos Correa gets his 15th for the Twinsies.
Nice.
How'd the third game go?
3-0 Minnesota shutout.
Yeah, after an 8-1 win, I mean, they definitely bounced back after Friday's game.
I mean, after Friday outscoring a good Phillies team 11-1 in 18 innings.
Yeah, I mean, that it literally evens out the series and makes them look good.
Two Jorge Polanco RBI singles in that 3-0 win. And Jordan Luplow with a homer.
Yeah, first homer of the year. Shout out Jordan Luplow.
Wow. Very nice to have your first homer in August.
So as we said previously, Philadelphia and Toronto are coming up in that 2-game set. Philadelphia is still 3 games up on that top wild card spot right now. They're 65 and 54. We're feeling pretty good about the Phils, huh?
Yeah, I think they're in a good spot.
Definitely, and they're coming up against Toronto. So like we said, dude, that 2-game set. Ooh, they got to at least split it.
Speaking of 2-game set, the Twins and the Tigers are going to play a weird 2-game set in division.
Yeah, we were saying there's a lot of interleague 2-game sets. Not really in division 2-game sets, but...
You don't see that often. The first game is going to be Fido for the Tigers against Ober for the Twins.
Yeah, Bailey Ober been a good arm for the Twins, so we'll see if he steps up again.
And the second game on Wednesday will be Olsen taking on Maeda.
Yeah, so Kenta Maeda and Bailey Ober will be the pitchers for the Twins as they look to take down Detroit in a 2-game set and keep their division lead padded.
So we're going to look at the final interleague series, and I probably would argue that it's the biggest one, unless you would say Toronto-Chicago, but...
No, I think, both of those are huge series.
Yeah, they are. I wouldn't say one's bigger than the other.
Teams need these games.
Scratch that. But this series is 2 teams that are in a must-win position. That's the thing.
Yes, they are.
The Yankees and the Marlins down in Miami. The Yanks grabbed the first one 9-4. Homers from Volpe, his 15th, and Aaron Judge, his 22nd.
Yeah, 15 for the kid. Go ahead.
He's having a under the radar nice rookie season.
And his name is Italian for fox.
That's interesting. Regardless, the Yanks go with the opener in that game.
Right. Bullpen game.
Yeah, they start with Ian Hamilton, and they just keep going along the bullpen.
End up getting a win over a borderline playoff team they are currently in, right? Half game.
Miami, they're in by a half game over the Cubs, yes. The second game of that series, this is where it turned around.
The Sandy Alcantara show.
He destroyed the Yankees in Game 2. 3-1 win. He tosses his league-leading third complete game. 9 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 10 Ks.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to feel bad about that for the Yankees. I know it's a tough loss because, like you said, you do need to win these games, but... Man, Sandy Alcantara, I mean, he's going to run through lineups. That's what he does.
Absolutely. The one run for the Yanks was an RBI single from Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. The 2 of the 3 runs for the Miami Marlins was a 2-run home run for Luis Arraez, his 4th of the year.
Yeah, speaking on home runs for the Marlins, I just kind of wanted to drop this real quick because I thought it was super interesting. Fun fact, Giancarlo Stanton has the most homers. I think he's leading by 3. He has 59 in the last 7 seasons for the Marlins. That leads. He only played 1 there, though.
That was literally just his MVP
His MVP season getting 59, I believe. Who was it, Brian Anderson or something?
I think Brian Anderson
had 56 or 57. He's not in the jersey either anymore, so, man, kind of a tough look for them.
Unbelievable.
Pop-wise, they can use some power. So.
You know what's crazy to me? Like, every time I think about it, Giancarlo had an MVP season like that, and they traded him that year.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Well, that was the weird Jeter Yankee thing, but whatever.
That does not happen, though.
No.
He had 59 and, 130.
Yeah, I wonder how many MVPs have been traded in their MVP year.
It's not a lot.
It really doesn't happen often. Yeah, but we were honestly touching on it. Now that we're saying they're kind of low on homers, that Josh Bell deal looks even better.
Oh, yeah.
Jake Berger as well.
Oh, yeah. They added the much-needed thump.
I mean, not for nothing. What did Berger do later? Let's get into Game 3.
Game 3 was the one that was all the fireworks as I used before.
This was huge, and man, were Yankee fans melting down.
So it looked to be all New York. Cole gives the Yanks another quality start. He's been fantastic this year. Might be the front runner for American League Cy Young with a little bit to go in the season.
Right.
That was until the bottom of the 8th inning, when Brian De La Cruz doubles to make it 7-3 Yanks.
They're still feeling pretty good.
Right, they're still feeling pretty good. It's a 4-run game. They still got their weapon, Clay Holmes, right?
He's been phenomenal.
Not last night. He comes on to finish the game. He bobbles a clear double play ball that would have ended the game. He throws it away to make it 7-5 Yanks.
And this is the type of play you see sometimes with pitchers, especially relievers, because these guys throw gas and they get out there. They got the nasty stuff.
He got the ball. He
They're
just
not
tried to
fielders. That's the thing.
He got the ball. He bobbled it. He panicked a little, and he tried to throw it as hard as he could over to first base.
This is why relievers got 20 fielding in the show.
Luis Ariz then gets up, hits a game-tying 2 RBI triple to make it 7-7.
Not a brighter spot for those Marlins this year.
No, he's been a fantastic pickup, as you'd expect.
So as of right now, you could tell them Yankee fans are ripping their hair out in the game.
Well, wait till you hear what happens next. Jake Berger steps up, singles down the left field line, the winning run to crush the Yankees' hopes.
And we just said, what did the Marlins need? They needed bats, and they ended up getting Josh, and they ended up getting Berger, so this is huge.
I don't think the Yankees have ever given up 5 runs in the 9th inning before in their franchise history.
Yeah, it's hard to find, man. That's a winning franchise, and this is a tough game against the Marlins team. Like we said, we thought this series would be interesting because of the interleague. They don't play as often as other teams do.
This was the rematch of the 2003 World Series, which the Marlins won. They win 2 of 3 again.
They did, yeah. This was a huge series. Do you think this series was a bigger win for the Marlins or a bigger loss for the Yanks?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
Because the Marlins are hanging on by a half game, and they needed this game.
Yeah, they did.
And this series.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, that half game would have been lost with the 2 out of 3 that the Cubs took over Toronto. They would be tied right now.
Yep. I think, in terms of how big it was, I think it's bigger for the Marlins because they're closer to a postseason spot, as they currently hold one. But it is such a big loss of a series for the Yankees, who are now, 5 out of the last wild card spot?
Yeah, I think, what were they? They were 3 or 4 when the week started. So it kind of just keeps going up little by little. It's a little sad to see it's kind of drifted away from them here.
I have a real serious question. Do you think this was the nail in the Yanks' coffin?
I won't say that.
You think they could still...
I think they could still do it, because look at the rosters there.
A loss like that, man.
It's Toronto and Seattle. They're good. I think the Yankees are better than Boston.
I'm not even looking at other teams anymore, though. I'm talking about the Yankees.
Just the Yankees' inability to finish games
do you
themselves.
think they'll be able to bounce back after losing a game like that this late?
Maybe not.
Given
Maybe
where
not.
they are in the standings.
Maybe not, yeah.
It's tough to make up 5 games and leap 3 teams to get in, and then you're losing games by giving up 5 in the 9th.
Yeah, it's definitely tough to see. I mean, the Marlins start a series against the Astros tonight. That's super interesting.
Yeah, well, the Yanks got the Braves, so good luck.
Maybe, I mean, the thing is, I don't think that this loss is what killed the Yankees. I think this series against the Braves might.
Yeah, I mean... They're just so good.
Yeah.
We've said it often. The Braves are just a freaking powerhouse.
Like, too good. Like, if I had to put my life savings on someone to win the World Series, I'm tossing it on the Braves right now.
I think it would be kind of a shock if they didn't make the World Series.
Yep. Yeah,
which is
crazy.
I mean,
it's going to be tough to get through the Dodgers, but...
Yeah, that'll be their biggest challenge. But, other than that, I really don't think a team in the NL can beat them.
This is 2 brutal series for these 2 teams coming up this week.
Yeah, I think the Marlins-Astros series is going to be interesting,
Super interesting, but I think it's going to be a big test to see if the Marlins are really the real deal.
Fromber going tonight.
Are they contenders or pretenders? Braxton Garrett?
Yeah.
Against Fromber Valdez.
I mean, the Valdez has been giving up runs, so who knows?
Then we got Clark Schmidt versus Max Fried in the first game of that Braves-Yankees series, so 2 good arms.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely keep our eyes on these series.
2 of the biggest series of the week, I would say, yeah.
For sure. Do Do you think this win will carry momentum for the Marlins?
I think it will. I felt better about it before I read they were going to play the Astros.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll help them against the Astros?
100%. Specifically the win that they had last night, yeah.
Because now you're going to be facing a guy that threw a no-hitter 2 games ago.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. The thing is, I think this is, if the Marlins win this game, it's going to have to be like a pitcher duel where they end up working Valdez out in the 6th or so, and they try to score off the pen after that, and it's a tough Astros pen as well.
Fair enough. I think that this win was huge for the Marlins, and I think it's going to help them against. I mean, dude, the Astros are sending Valdez, Javier, and Verlander.
That is quite literally their playoff
that
rotation.
sucks, man.
Yeah, the Fish are getting their playoff rotation.
Well, it'll be a big test to see if the
biggest
momentum
test
carries.
possible, and we're going to see if those bats they traded for keep coming through, because they have been for the Fish. 2 more interleague series coming up this week. I'm sure we'll be recapping them on Wednesday.
Lots of fun.
Really the only big all-NL series of the weekend, and this one was pretty massive, dude.
It really pains me that you just said that, considering the Mets took on the Braves, and that used to be such a big series last year, and now it was just nothing.
The Mets suck ass.
Yeah, dude.
So, I mean, it's just kind of what it is. So yeah, we got a huge series between the fringe Padres and the fringe D-backs. Both of these teams are pushing for a playoff spot, especially San Diego, who spent a lot of money to try to do that. San Diego takes the first game 10-5. They're feeling pretty good, you know. Nelson, 6 earned runs and 3 innings pitched for the that's Ryan Nelson for the D-backs. He's at a 5.47 on the year.
Oof.
Kind of stinky.
Yeah.
Snell's got 2 earned runs and 6 innings pitched. He gets 7 Ks. What a phenomenal year for Blake Snell. He's at a 2.63. And like you said, man, I really wouldn't be shocked if we're getting Snell and Cole bringing home the awards this year.
I can vividly remember us saying that the first game of that series was going to go that way. Snell just shoving.
Specifically that way, yeah. We said, I didn't think it would be that bad for Nelson, to be honest, but man, that's kind of rough, giving up 6 earned runs in 3 innings.
I guess that's just he's just kind of not that guy.
In that second game, Arizona does exactly what it needs to after a tough 10-5 loss. They get a 3-0 win in that second game. Rich Hill, the new Padre, he gives up all 3 runs in 3 1/3. He's at a 5.17. Bit of a puzzling deal, right?
Well, I think the thing is, the Padres couldn't really afford to full buy because of how expensive their roster is, so they had to soft buy with somebody like Rich Hill and G-Man Choi, and those guys are not good.
Yeah, they're missing guys like Clevenger right now. They're missing the depth.
If your deal at the deadline to make your team who's out of the playoffs push in is 43-year-old Rich Hill and G-Man Choi, who's on the cusp of being DFA'd by the Pirates, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah, interesting too, because like we said, Rich Hill, the new Padre, Tommy Pham, the new Diamondback, he gets an RBI double in that game, and then Christian Walker homers it in. That's all the runs in the game.
Christian Walker is very underrated.
Love the celebration. Kid's a good kid. Plays a phenomenal first base.
I was going to say on both sides of the ball. He's a Gold Glove caliber first baseman, which I am a sucker for. I love the first base.
I think first base is a very underrated defensive position. It really saves the infield at times.
He's extremely smooth over there.
He definitely is.
And then his offense, man, he can slap the ball around
Crazy
the yard.
pop, and he comes through again with another 2-run homer here, scoring his new teammate Tommy Pham. Awesome to see.
Very nice.
Yeah. Arizona gets the win in the third game as well to take 2 out of 3. Man, this one is the heartbreaker for the Pods fans. Padres are feeling pretty good after taking that first one, and then they're feeling kind of rough after not getting any runs. They have a nice little lead. They're up 4-3.
Put up 3 in the first.
Yeah, they're up 4-3 there towards the end of the game, but the Diamondbacks put up 3 runs in the last 2 frames. It's pretty rough. They get a W on an Alec Thomas sac fly in the bottom of the 8th. They never look back.
Yeah. Paulie Walnuts, Paul Sewald closes it out for number 23 for the D-backs.
Yeah, see, they definitely got their guy there.
Gets them back to 500 on the year.
Very disappointing to not take 2 out of 3 if you're San Diego here. You had it.
Definitely, but on the flip side, humongous for the Snakes to do that, because now they sit only 2.5 games back. They got a little bit momentum coming back. You got to keep going.
They stepped up when they needed. I wanted to ask you, do you think they have what it takes for the long haul?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I just kind of think they've showed.
I think what we saw this weekend from the Marlins and the Cubs, I think that just puts them. I mean,
I think if the Diamondbacks have shown that they crumble when pressure comes, is kind of what it is.
Yeah,
last night they looked good, though.
I just think that the run they just went on is just going to be too damaging. I could be completely wrong, But I don't know. I feel like the Marlins and Cubs are going to be duking that out.
Baseball is a lot about confidence, and with so little games left to play, like, what do we even have? Like 20% of the season, if that? Probably not.
It can't be much left.
Yeah. I mean, with that little left in the season, Arizona's not feeling confident, and I know the Cubbies and the Marlins are right now, especially the Marlins after the way they just played.
Absolutely.
But this was another comeback win, just like the Marlins had over the Yankees.
Yeah.
Not quite as drastic, but, Arizona's 2.5 game back of the wild card, so they could definitely squeeze in there, but the teams above them just look better lately.
Besides the Reds, I don't know what's going on with the Reds.
Same thing that's going on with the D-backs, I think. Just
Yeah.
like lack of experience and lack of a roster to really make that run.
Yeah, they're a bit better, but they've also struggled.
It's
a
still
lot.
only a half game out for the Reds. We haven't mentioned them in this episode, but they're staying in it.
Yeah, they're very much still alive.
And the disappointing one is that after dropping that game, the Diamondbacks are 5.5 back of the wild card, so that would have been a big game for them to pick up if they could have just finished it out.
Yeah, the Reds are starting a series with the Guardians, too, the Ohio Derby.
Yeah, San Diego's 3-7 in their last 10. I kind of just wanted your thoughts on that team right now.
3-7 in the last 10. Ugh.
When they need to win, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... It's tough to see the high payroll teams just not doing what they're supposed to do.
They've really failed, which is kind of tough, like you said, because this isn't going to motivate the small market teams to spend money.
Besides, like, the Dodgers, like, the big market team, even the Yankees haven't really been good.
And the Braves have, like, a criminally underpaid roster.
They found a way to, like, legally rob people, and their players just honestly seem to be okay with it.
Super odd, yeah. Their payroll is, like, way under what it should be. Those players are worth a lot more money than they're getting on the market.
I would have loved to be in the room for, like, the conversations with the Braves and Spencer Strider and his agent. Like, why would he do that?
Yeah,
Michael Harris, too.
I was talking about it with my buddies. I don't think there's a worse one than the Albies.
I just don't understand why these guys are doing it. Acuna did it, too.
Dude, like, second base is a tough position to get, and they're getting Albies for, what, like $7 million, 7.5 tops?
Yeah, it's absurd.
Second base is not an easy one to fill, and they're getting an all-star second baseman for scraps.
I don't know why more people don't copy them, though.
If they could. Yeah, I was saying it earlier in the season. The Mets should have had a contract looking like the Albies contract and Francisco Alvarez's locker after his 5th game.
Yeah. But
Guy's
the Mets don't play like that, though.
Mm-mm.
They still haven't locked up Alonso.
We set up this series earlier when we talked about Baltimore, but San Diego's taking on Baltimore for 3, and I thought it was super interesting because they meet the Snakes for another 4-game series over the weekend.
You got to get their redemption on them.
Yeah, they definitely do. They're probably going to look to take 3 out of 4 in that game, make a statement out of that series. Arizona gets Colorado, and then that series. So
tough to go to Colorado.
It is in Coors, but I do think they're the better team, and they definitely have pop with Walker and Corbin Carroll, and this is a good team.
For sure.
It's a big outfield as well, so I think they'll play pretty well. Weird thing about Arizona, they don't have a starter announced for any of the 3 games.
That is weird. I was also going to say another notable thing for Arizona. They just recently DFA'd Carson Kelly.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even see that, really.
Yeah, I don't remember. He was an all-star for them.
Catchers aren't easy to come by,
I don't know.
It's a good MLB catcher, dude. Someone better pick him up.
Yeah.
He should be, like, the thing is, like, the way you build a team, like, he should be an A or a Pirate or a Royal soon.
I think the D-backs really like Moreno is the thing.
Yeah.
The guy they got for, what's his name? Varsho.
Yeah.
Gurriel.
It's just crazy because Varsho was great too, dude. The Diamondbacks get some great catchers coming in there.
Yeah, I think they're just replacing Carson Kelly with Moreno.
Yeah, we'll make some predictions right now. How do you feel about the Baltimore and San Diego series? What do you think happens?
I mean, after this week, I got to go Baltimore, taking at least 2 out of 3.
Yeah, with them not getting Snell in that series because he just pitched.
And
will they get Snell?
Yeah, they will.
Oh, they'll get Snell in the last game. All right. Maybe San Diego takes the Snell game.
Yeah.
Besides that, it's probably Baltimore.
Who knows,
for 2
though?
or
Baltimore's offense can be the one that gets to Snell.
That's the thing. I think Baltimore takes either 2 out of 3 or they get the sweep here, which is going to be kind of a killer for San Diego coming to see the Snakes again.
Again, it's going to be the same thing we were just talking about with the Mariners and Orioles. Like, the Orioles are just going to look like the better team, probably. Most likely.
I agree. And the way with Arizona and Colorado works, I think the same thing happens there, which is great because I think this is a team like Arizona needs to see a team like Colorado right now and build up their confidence, especially with the way that ball will be flying.
Yeah, they better hope it doesn't go the other way, though, and lose 2 out of 3 or something like that to the Rockies.
Very true, and if it is, like, we'll definitely be talking on it.
That could definitely be maybe a season killer.
It could be for the Snakes, yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely keep our eye on those 2 series as the week goes on. Thank you for watching or listening, wherever you did, folks. This was Monday, August 14th, 2023. This was episode 10 of the 9 Frames podcast. Thank you for being here for our 10th. You can catch us on Spotify at 9 Frames. We are on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. We are on Twitter, or X, as it is now known, at 9 Frames Pod. Please follow us on there.
Thanks for that, Elon.
Yeah, and catch us on playergm.com. We're on there now, so we'll be loving to see you wherever you are.
I appreciate the support as usual, everyone.
Enjoy your week and enjoy the baseball ahead.
Hell yeah.
Take care.